Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, in this section of the video, we are going to talk about the interesting topic about the falsificationism. Exactly, this is one of the part in philosophy of science. And then, this topic about falsificationism will be presented by two speakers. The first one is Arif Hadianto. Of course, it's me, it's myself, and I'm from Indonesia. And the second one is my friend Surena Sae. She's from Thailand. And if you want to know more about what does it mean about falsificationism, so just watch the video until the end, so you will understand well about them. The first, let me know you that in this section of the video, we are gonna talk about five kinds. The first one, if it the first one is definition. It is about definition of falsification, and the second one is a proper and critique of Marxism and psychoanalysis, and the third one is proper solution of the problem of induction, and the next one is the Duhem problem, and the last one is problem with falsificationism. Let's check it one by one. Uh, the first one is about the definition of falsificationism. Let me open it by saying what Popper said before. Ever Popper said that the theory that explains everything doesn't really explain everything. What does it mean? Yeah, this is what Popper think about. So exactly, falsificationism is an understanding or methodology that is achieved to prove the truth with the principle of falsifiability, or a statement that can be proven through error in a statement. So this is what I said before, that falsificationism is actually Popper's claim that scientists are only interested in falsification. So what does it mean when I said falsification? Falsification is an observation that show that the theory is false. So I mean that falsification is the way to find the false in a theory. So this is what we need in the theory, what based on Popper said. And the last one is falsified. Falsified is a state of theory that has been shown to be false. So if the theory cannot stand there for strong, so the theory can be falsified or can be the false theory. But if the theory can stay there after falsification, so the theory will be more strong and more falsifiable, or more be acceptable. Yes, more be strong theory. And the next one is about Popper and critique of Marxism and psychoanalysis. Okay, before we talk more about Marxism and psychoanalysis, let me know you who is Popper, because I always say Popper and Popper since the first presentation. Exactly, he is very influenced in philosophy of science because of the falsificationism that was popular by him. So let me know you that Popper was an Australian British philosopher, academic, and social commentator, and he is one of the most influenced on philosophy of science during the 20th century. Like what I said before, that he gave more most influence in philosophy of science because of the falsificationism that was popular by him. And his interest in philosophy of science began with the search for the demarcation between science and pseudoscience. Yes, because he is very interested in with science, interested in science. So he worried that some theory based on the pseudoscience. Pseudoscience means like the fake science, something that just look like a science but it's not science. Now the next one is about Popper and critique of Marxism and psychoanalysis. Yes. Marxism and psychoanalysis were prominent among science theories, but Popper came to regard both pseudoscience and set about trying to explain what it was about. Yes, just like what I said before, exactly. Marxism and psychoanalysis is about in the range of sociolinguistic and psychoanalysis. Exactly, uh, it is what Popper worried about. Yeah, Popper's the both of the theory about Marxism and psychoanalysis exactly come from confirmation. Confirmation means uh, something that you found that the thing that happened that always happen and it come to be truth, so you confirm that it's true, so just confirm it. So Popper worried about it, Popper critic about it, because Popper worry if the Marxism and psychoanalysis can be pseudoscience, just like what I said, that this it is a fake science. Fake science means that it look like science, but it's not true science. Okay, next. Yes, this is the example of Popper and critic of Marxism. He agreed that Marxists see everything strike a further evidence for the theory of class struggle. And Popper and the critic of psychoanalysis, psychoanalysis treat every instance of neurosis as a further evidence for Freud theories. Yeah, this is what I explained before, that Marxism and psychoanalysis is exactly based on the confirmation theory. So this is what Popper critic for both of the theory, for both the Marxism and psychoanalysis.
Okay, the next topic that we are going to discuss is about Popper's solution to the problem of induction. So what is this about? So let's see. Popper's solution to the problem of induction is simply to argue that it does not show the scientific knowledge is not justified because science does not depend on induction at all. So here I want to say that actually scientists always use deductive reasoning for their observation in the theory, but not inductive reasoning. So Popper point out that there is a logical asymmetry between confirmation and falsification. If we talk about deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, they will talk about confirmation and falsificationism. Oh, sorry, falsification. Or Popper tried to say that it's not the same between confirmation and falsification. So let's see how are they different. Now let's take a look at the example or the schema of deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. For deductive reasoning, actually scientists will draw general argument to find out the specific conclusion. So when they have the theory, they will make an observation and then they will make a hypothesis and then they do an observation, and then when they do an observation they will confirm that theory. So this is for deductive. Okay, and the next one, okay, the example of the next one, inductive reasoning. So for this theory, actually, scientists try to draw a specific argument to find out general conclusion. So scientific will start with an observation and then make an hypothesis and then falsify the theory. Like they have the theory and then they try to falsify the theory again. So it's not about confirmation, but it's about falsifying. So this is the difference between deductive and inductive reasoning. And now let's move to another one. This one, okay, according to the deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, and then according to the problem of inductive reasoning, Popper arise this problem because no matter how many positive instances of a generalization are observed, it is still possible that the next instance will falsify it. So it means that even you try to make an observation for that theory. So when you have conclusion already, but then you have to falsify it. Okay, so I want to say that a good theory is a theory that can falsify according to Popper. Okay, Popper tried to argue that a good theory is a theory that can falsify itself. So now I want to show you the example of inductions, okay, induction theory. So this is I can say that it's a very famous theory that if we talk about falsificationism, this theory will show up to you. So this theory we call the swan theory. So actually I have two sides of this. I want you to look at the first one first on your left side. This is the example of inductivism, okay, or inductive reasoning. So, how to observe it? For example, the first one, swan number one is white, swan number two is also white, and also swan number three is white until swan n is white. So this observation statement will draw our conclusion in generalization, like all swans are white. For example, in this area, okay, in your area, you see only white swan. The first one is white, the second swan also white, and the third one and the fourth one until the end one is white. So you can draw a generalization or general conclusion that all swans are white. So this one, you can see that scientific try to draw a specific argument and then find out the general conclusion. So this is the way of inductions. But falsification is a bit different. Now let's take a look at the next example on your right side. For the falsificationism theory or method, we can say that the theory just now that say that all swans are white, if this theory were true, all swans would be white. But if then one of you go to another place and then see that swan K or another swan is not white, so it is black swan. So the first theory just now, the theory that all swans are white is false. Okay, so this is the kind of falsificationism. So this is what I want to say, that a good theory is a theory that we can falsify it. So if we can falsify it, it means that we come closer to the truth. Okay, so this is the example of the swan theory. I mean the inductivism and falsificationism. Is it a bit different? Okay, the next one. Popper also argue that some opinions, belief, and theory can even proven false or they are unfalsifiable. Just now, I talked about the falsifiable theory, the theory that we can falsify. But not all theory we can falsify. Some theory we cannot falsify it, or we can say it's unfalsifiable. Like the example here that you can see in the screen here. For example, either is it raining or is not raining. So if you talk about the rain, one day you look into the sky and then you see it's cloudy in the sky. So we cannot predict that this cloudy is going to rain or not. Whether maybe it's going to rain or maybe it's not. So sometimes it's just cloudy but it's not raining. So we cannot predict it. And the next one is about God has no cause. If we talk about God, okay, actually, God is eternal, okay. We can say God has no beginning, or God was never started, or whatever. It's about God. So this one, I can say that it's beyond our ability to prove it, okay. So this is also unfalsifiable. And then the next one, all bachelors are unmarried. And the next one, it is logically possible that space is infinite. Okay, if we talk about the space, as you know, we know the space is very, very large and it's very, very broad. So we know that it's infinite, but we cannot observe it because until nowadays, no one can travel around the space, like observe whole space there. And this one is unfalsifiable. And the last one, that human beings have free will. So all of these examples are unfalsifiable because it's difficult for us to observe it, to make an observation on it. Okay. And if we talk about just now, we talk about falsifiable and unfalsifiable. So Popper argued that science is not fundamental about falsifying rather than confirming theories. Like I told you just now, Popper tried to say that science is not about confirming, but it's about falsifying. So the good theory is the theory that we can falsify it. And then science proceeds not by testing a theory and accumulating positive inductive support it, but by trying to falsify a theory. So this is the same case, okay? And then Popper thought that theory could be ranked according to their degree of falsifiability, and that this is the true measure of their empirical content. The more falsifiable a theory is, the better it is, because if it is highly falsifiable, it must make precise predictions about a large range of phenomena. Like I told you before, if it can falsify a theory, it is better, and it's high and it make precise predictions about that theory. All right. So now we just finished, okay, for the proper solutions to the problem of induction. Now I want to talk about Duhamel's problem. So according to Popper just now, he tried to say that we have to falsify the theory, right? We have the theory, we have to and make an observation for the theory, and then we have to falsify that theory. But Durham said that no, we actually, in reality, we cannot make an observation on a single assumption. We need another factors to consider the problems. So I can say that Durham tried to give the Popper's theory. So let's see how is it different for two of these. According to the Durham problem, Durham say that hypotheses rely on auxiliary assumptions in order to make predictions. As I told you, a theory, we cannot make an observation on a single assumption, but we need an other, okay, other assumption too. So what is auxiliary assumption? Auxiliary assumption is an assumption or condition that taken together with the core claims of hypothesis allows predictions to be made. Such assumptions are necessary for making the prediction. So auxiliary assumptions mean we need a various assumption, various example, various cases to make an observation. Okay, now let's see another. So this is a schema of falsification and Duhams, okay? So this is a bit different. I want to show you the first one, the falsification, or we can say that a strict or strong falsification. For this one, if H, okay, if H, then O, not O, then not H. So what is it? Can you remember about the swan theory just now? So the first, if H is swans, okay, if all swans were white, and the next one is black. So the theory that all swans are white is false. Okay, H means swan, and then O is the black swan, and then if O is black, so the theory H is false. Okay, this is the picture of the theory. This is falsification. So we falsify the theory. But Durham say in more realistic, if H and A1 and A2 and A3, then O, not O, not A1 or not not H or not A1 or not A2 or not A3. So I will show you the example of an example of the observation about this. I want to show you the example of the theory of frogs. So if all frogs are dead after a week in the freezer is true, then this frog should be dead. I mean, the next observation of frog should be dead. But if on your observation there is a frog is not dead, from after a week in the freezer. So it means that we cannot hurry to falsify the theory, but we have to look at another factors. Okay, like A1 is another factor, A2 is another factor, A3 is another factor. But we not hurry to conclude that this theory are false. This theory is false. For example, if there is a frog is not dead after a week in the freezer, so you have to look at the other factor. Like you have to make sure that nobody took the frogs out of the freezer after a week, or maybe you have to make sure that the freezer keep working during the entire week. Okay, you have to make sure that the freezer working, okay, is working for whole week. Okay, and then the next one, maybe you have to look at the frogs, the kinds of frog. Okay, you have to make sure that it's really frog, is not toast. So you have to make sure that you have the same kind of frog on your observation. So if the frog is not dead, you have to look at these factors. Okay, it's not about the theory, but it's about the factor that affect your observation. So, uh, and not all frogs are dead after a week in the freezer. So you have to find out which factors that affect your frogs. All right. So this is the difference between Duham theory and Popper's theory for falsification. All right. And then the next one, Quinn-Durham thesis. We never test a hypothesis or theory in isolation from auxiliary assumption. Rather, we always test an entire group of claims. And when our observational data goes against what our theory predicts, we know our theory is in error, but we don't know where the error lies. The core hypothesis or one of the assumptions. So this is what I try to say, that when your observation is not going for what the theory say, you have to find out. You have to look at the assumptions, another assumptions, not only the theory. Okay, this is what I try to say. And then I can say more strongly, a theory can always be safe from falsification by rejecting or modifying one of the auxiliary assumption. Strict falsification is impossible. According to Duham, he said that a strict falsification is impossible. When there is something happened in the theory or on your observation, you have to look at another factor. And we can say that Duham, if we use the Duham theory, we can save the theory. We can save the theory from falsifying. All right, so this is the point of Duham problems.
Now, let me know you about the last one about the topic of falsificationism. It's about the problem with falsificationism. Of course, the falsificationism has a big influence, has a great influence effect in philosophy of science. Yes, but of course, it still have a problem with itself. So, what is that? Just check it out. The problem with falsificationism, the first one is some legitimate parts of science seems not to be falsified. Yeah. These fall into four categories. The first one is probabilistic statement. The second one is essential statement. The third one is unfalsifiable scientific principles. And the last one is hypothesis of natural selection. Let's see one by one. The first one is probability statement. Science often issues statements about the probability of several events. Such a statement cannot be falsified because an experiment can produce impossible results, and it's consistent with the original statement. Impossible things are bound to happen sometimes. Any statement about the probability of a single event cannot be falsified. So, for example, let me talk about a coin, about one coin, where the coin has two sides. Yes, let me say the side A and side B. We can say that uh, the chance when we do 10 coin tosses will land in 50% on side A and 50% on side B. This is cannot be fake or cannot be falsified because each toast can have a different chance. It could be said it could be side A in 70% and side B uh, 30%. So it sometimes it has the different result even we have the same thing to do. And next one is essential statement. While Popper is right that a universal generalization can be falsified uh, with just one negative example, many statements in science are not in this form. For example, scientific theories confirm the existence of things like black hole, atom, virus, DNA, and so on. Statements stating the existence of something cannot be falsified by one's failure to find it. It's just like Duhem, like in the Duhem, where a theory can be falsified just from one mistake. Maybe we have to look at the other factor that support the theory. The next one is unfalsifiable science principle. And the last one is hypothesis of natural selection. This is related to the natural selection. Yes, of course, it's about the evolution, where Popper said that the evolution is where something lasts for a long time. But in fact that evolution is something new, but has the same characteristics as previous. Yes. And the next one is falsificationism is not itself falsifiable. Yes, it's a scientific method and it's not a scientific theory. This is why I said that. This is why we said that falsificationism is not itself falsifiable. It can be falsified because it is a method, not a theory. Yes. The next one is the notion of degree of falsifiability is problematic. Of course, even we know that Popper ever said that the more falsifiable theory is better, but in fact sometimes we can rank it. We can rank it. It still be problematic because exactly the new theory is of course based on the previous. So we can say which one is better one. Yes. And the next one is Popper cannot account for our expectation about the future. Of course, yes. Because why? Because it means that Popper cannot make a prediction about the future because the falsification is only just the past theory. So it can make a prediction for the future because yeah, just look at the theory that made by someone. And the next one is the last one is scientists sometimes ignore falsification. Yes, if we demand of scientists that they be prepared to study and advance under what conditions they would abandon their most cherished assumption, they will uh, then we will be disappointed because of course because it's just like what my friend just explained that mhm, it's maybe it looks like in the case of Duhem, mhm, even there is one mistake in the theory, but the scientist or the expert sometimes ignore it. They will say that the theory is still falsifiable, still acceptable because uh, the other factor that support the theory. Yes, I think that's all about the problem with falsificationism. So in the last, let me conclude that falsification has a lot of influence of science, where the knowledge or where the knowledge that we know so far is the development of previous theory or science. Falsification is important to do on the theory, so that science will always develop and find something new or different from before. Yes, this is the, of course, this is the uh, interesting topic to talk. Yes, you can find the other explanation if you want to make sure that you understand this about this one about the falsificationism. So I think that's all. So we can say that it's very interesting, and of course it has an very influence, very big influence in science. Okay, everyone, I think that's all from us about the falsification. I hope you enjoyed it, this video, and I hope you got it what the point is about the falsificationism. Start from the definition until the problem with falsification. Yes. Okay. So, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.